The American GI is probably one of the most unique museums that you'll ever come to visit. Not because it's a great museum, because it is, but because you get to actually be around this stuff and touch it and see it and see what it was about. It's dedicated to the GI. And those of you that wonder what GI meant, it was government issue. And so government decided that that would be a good way to just call their troops government issue. But you know what? It went far beyond being government issue. It went to the young men and women who came from the farmland, who came from all over the United States. They were truck drivers. They were young people who had never been more than 50 miles away from their home. And they said, I feel that call, I want to come. Today we have an all-volunteer Army. Can you imagine that? People all over our United States, they want to come and they want to volunteer and they want to serve their country because they feel that calling of patriotism and freedom. Isn't it good to be free? Aren't you proud? We're so proud to be Americans and we're proud to be Texans. Those of us that are Texans. Texas, of course, is a little different. It's not just a state, it's a state of mind. It doesn't matter where you are, when you're born in Texas or you've lived in Texas. You could be in Iowa, Wisconsin, or New York, and still in your mind, you're a Texan. Now, there's a lot happening out here. They're going to be showing you all kinds of the vehicles and the things and the weapons. It's a little difficult when you're here to ask questions, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. Now, let's see. First of all, I'm running around. I look a little funny, unless you know who I'm trying to portray. Who am I trying to be?
George's Patton.
General Patton. How many of you know who General Patton was? All right. Now, so because I'm taking a little time, so while they're getting their stuff together, how many like the little dog in General Patton, the movie General Patton? Remember him, Willie? Would you like to hear a true story about Willie? Well, first of all, he was portrayed as a coward.
Nope, short.
Oh, is that one gonna get it? Ah, oh, so close.
All right. You videotaping?
Closely keeping an eye on the wind, which is just a little breeze, but just enough to adjust.
No, she had somebody else doing it for Czechoslovakia. Well, we got twice as good. 4 times as good. Mine's 4K. I could also keep mine back here behind everybody. So in March, you'll do this again?
Yeah, it's a third weekend.
Same kind of cost? $10 to get in?
Yeah, I think it's pretty similar.
No riding though, right?
We're doing a different ride this time. It's like a shorter ride.
Yeah.
If you don't have earplugs, you can use your fingers. It's not terrible, but it's noticeable. All right, we're getting the thumbs up.
No!
Looks like we're going to do 2 round volleys here. Fire hole.
Scoot to your right.
All clear. Shoots 3. It is a German tank destroyer, has a 75 millimeter gun. You notice that it doesn't have a rotating turret, which was a great, makes it cheaper to manufacture, but doesn't make it a very good vehicle. They were reasonably effective in World War II. This particular one is not a real German vehicle. It's a Bismod that we built it from an armored vehicle. This is a German 251 half-track. This is a real half-track. We call it a half-track, but it's more like a three-quarter track if you look at it. I really think that the German half-tracks are very inferior to the American versions. That the American ones are true half-tracks with a front-powered axle, whereas the German one does not have a powered front axle. These are the vehicles that we used in our reenactments in March for the Axis forces. Somebody has to be the enemy. This particular half-track was built in Czechoslovakia probably in the late 1950s, but it's almost completely identical to the German World War II half-track. We keep doing this to keep everybody happy. Okay. This is a Ford M8 armored car built by Ford Motor Company in 1943. It's a 6-wheel drive, and all 6 wheels are capable of driving. It's considered a light armored car with a fully rotating turret that has a 37 millimeter gun with a 30 caliber coax machine gun beside it and a 50 caliber machine gun on the back of the turret. It was a very effective armored car. It was used in all theaters in World War II. Of course, it was used for light reconnaissance. It's proved to be very reliable, very fast vehicle. It's interesting that it's a Ford-built vehicle, but it doesn't have a Ford engine in it. Ford didn't build a big enough engine at the time to power that. So the M8 armored car actually has a 6-cylinder Hercules. You know, in World War II, the U.S. Army embraced light armored vehicles with all-tired vehicles, but immediately after World War II, they decided that was a bad idea and never produced another wheeled armored car or tank-type vehicle until the 1990s, when they came out with the Stryker. Went back to basically the same concept as the M8 armored car in World War II. Of course, completely outclassing the World War II stuff. But so the M8 armored car is really the grandfather of American armored cars. And Ford Motor Company produced about 2,500 of the M8 armored cars in World War II. Once again, this is the M24 Chaffee, the absolutely preferred American light tank. The drive shaft place in Bryan has a 100-ton press. They can press the wheel off of the tire off of the wheel and press a new one on. And that's, whenever they see me coming, they know what they're going to be doing. Y'all keep coming out. I'm thinking maybe in 2 years we're going to have our M3 Lee restored, which, if you are familiar with tanks, is the predecessor of the Sherman. With a, you ever watched the movie Sahara with Humphrey Bogart? You'll see an M3 Lee in it, and we actually have one of those. They're doing manual traverse on the turrets right now. The turrets also have a hydraulic traverse that'll go twice as fast as what they're doing right now.
Are any of these are they ever used in movies?
The question is, have we used any of our tanks in movies? We've had a lot of requests for people wanting to use our vehicles for what I consider low-budget movies, and they don't want to pay the going rates, because I know what the going rates are. So really, no, we haven't used these much in movies. We did use our M5A1 Stewart, which is not here today, in a television show, which was about a year and a half ago in New Orleans. We took it down there for like 10 days. And it was in a television show called The Preacher that I had never heard of before, and I watched the episode that our tank was in. What a terrible show. But they paid us well, so anyway, we're not adverse to doing movie things if we get what the things are worth. They think that because we're in Texas, we don't know how much they bring to rent tanks in California. So unless they're going to pay us for what they're worth of the vehicles, we still have a lot of other things going on till the rest of the day. We're going to have another flamethrower demonstration, I think at 3:30. Some more small arms demonstrations. We're going to keep running some of the vehicles around the tracks and such. So there's still plenty of things to do if you want to hang around. But there's the red, white, and blue.